Welcome to It's All Geek to Me, a podcast where two friends experience popular nerdy franchises for the first time. My name is Leah, and this season my co-host Kelli and I will be traveling to a galaxy far, far away as Kelli experiences Star Wars for the very first time. And I'm the expert. Let's dive in.
Hello, we're back.
We're back.
With the much anticipated part 3 of Episode VII of Star Wars, The Force Awakens.
The Force is definitely awoken at this point.
Awoken. Oh.
It's definitely up.
I was actually, as I was saying it, I was like, wait, is it reawakens? No, that doesn't sound right.
Just awakens.
So the Force is now awake.
Well, I need some happiness awakening in me because this movie breaks my soul.
Leah just called me crying, and I was like, what is wrong with you?
You're like, can you take 5 minutes and call me back?
Yeah, I was like, you need a breather. Call me when you're composed.
I think I cried like 4 times in this section.
4?
Nostalgia, that's one thing that like consistently will make me cry in a way that like makes literally no sense.
Leah just cries at every fictional thing ever.
Yeah, I truly do.
One day I'll make her cry in real life, but for now it's just fiction. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. The ending is sad, but we actually started off with the section of the film where Kylo Ren's crew is searching for Rey because she just escaped their clutches.
Yeah.
But she's still on the base.
Using the Force.
And Kylo is telling a stormtrooper that the longer it takes to find her, the more dangerous she's going to be because she is discovering her powers as we speak.
And especially that she was able to fight off his powers. He's very aware of how strong with the Force she is.
And he's scared.
He's so scared. Or maybe in love. Who knows?
Ew, don't say it. I was actually just going to bring that up, though, because I know in the last couple of episodes of the podcast, you've been telling me, like, don't focus on the love, don't focus on the love. But I can't help but think, like, how is this, like, a popular pairing? Maybe something happens in the next 2 movies, but for now, I'm like, this guy's terrible.
Yeah.
But also, I thought that of Anakin, so I don't know.
Yeah.
People fall in love with Anakin.
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously been manipulated and his mind has been warped a little bit, but, you know, there's 2 more movies left, so we'll see what happens.
There's some unforgivable stuff that I would say happens in this film.
Yeah, I would say that too. I would say he kind of went too far.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, so we do see her sneaking around for like a short moment, and I honestly don't know how she has not been found yet because shouldn't these people have security cameras?
That's true too. They're pretty high tech. They should have some control room.
She just waits for the stormtroopers to pass and then she just hops away.
Very convenient.
Yeah, like right in the middle of a well-lit hallway. So, okay.
Makes sense.
She's not being found yet. So then meanwhile, we cut to Chewie, Finn, and Han, and they are flying in the Falcon, and Finn asks how they're going to get through the shields of the planet. And basically, I actually thought this was kind of funny, but they have to make their landing at light speed in order to get through because there's like a refresh rate, I guess, of the shield.
Yeah.
So if you go through at light speed, you're fine. But then you have to immediately turn off light speed in order to not go through the planet and die. Finn is not pleased.
No, he does not like this idea. I do like that Han is just sort of like, you know, I'll try it and I'll see if it works and I'll ask questions later. He said something earlier in the film. Rey said, is this something that's possible? And he said, I don't ask myself that question until after I do it. And I feel like this is another example of that. Let's see if it works.
You know, I have to say, actually, maybe I should wait until later in the film when it gets a little funnier. But Finn is my favorite type of comedic relief where it's not just a character who is designated for being funny and useless. I like that he, you know, has a part, he does what he's got to do, but he's also hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like we're seeing him like find his personality.
And I also feel like Finn getting annoyed with random stuff or being like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Is like the normal human reaction to what they do in Star Wars. And everyone else just goes with it. And Finn is like, why? Why are we going to land at light speed? We're going to die. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So he's great.
Maybe you're Finn. Maybe you found your character.
Yeah. Just falling in love easily and being annoyed with everybody just going with these plans that don't make sense.
Don't make any sense. Yeah. Love it.
I'm not trying to die. I would run away from the First Order.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
I would probably go back if the person I loved was being held by them. That's the only thing that would get me. I have no honor.
Wow.
I just want love.
I really think we maybe found your character.
Yeah, it took a while.
That's exciting. You're Nazi 3PO.
Thank God. So anyway, they do have this really cool scene where Han pulls off light speed at the exact right moment. They're crashing through. The planet is, I don't know if we saw it before this.
Not really.
Except for in those little flash forwards. But it's like a snowy, foresty looking planet.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mountains. It's actually kind of cool. And I thought it was an interesting mirror of the prequel trilogy where we're kind of having this snowy planet instead of a fiery hot planet.
Yeah. I have to say that the visuals and the terrains of the planets that we see in this trilogy are better than any of them.
Leah, you have to play Skyrim because every new planet, I was like, this is like Skyrim.
Yeah, but I'm not like an open world gal. I want a story that I can follow.
There's some stories. I just like going around picking flowers. So don't ask me about the story,
Wow.
but there is a story.
Flower picker. Wow.
People who play Skyrim listening to this are like, is she serious? She's been talking about Skyrim
And this is what she does
for like months and she just goes around picking flowers? Yes. And I played on easy mode. Don't tell anybody.
Oh, I always play on easy mode.
Anyway. So they do manage to land and they actually stop the ship like right before it falls off a cliff. So that's pretty cool.
Pretty good.
And then meanwhile, we see a soldier reporting to Kylo Ren saying that they can't find Rey. And he tells the soldier to put all the hangars on lockdown because she's going to try to escape. And before the next thing happens, I have to say, shouldn't that have been their first move?
Yeah, well, you'd think so.
Oh, she escaped. Lock down all the hangars. Not, oh, she escaped. Let's look for her first. If we can't find her, hopefully she hasn't gotten out by now.
Yeah.
But if she hasn't, then we'll trap her. But he doesn't even end up finishing his sentence because he can sense that somebody has arrived because he turns and he goes, Han Solo.
Dad.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I hate that he doesn't call him Dad, but I get why.
Because he's not Ben
not
Solo
himself.
anymore.
Yeah.
He's not Sherpley Solo anymore.
Sherpley. Oh,
You were
I'm
close.
so sad that's not his name. But I feel like I had some letters right if Sherpley was spelled Shirpley, which is that a real name? It can't be, right?
I don't know if that's a real name. It could be. It might be. It's a big world.
Anybody who's listening, please name your next child Sherpley.
But you actually were on the right track because you were like, maybe they named him after someone, which is what that was the wheel I was trying to get you to turn.
Oh, I forgot.
Because you didn't ever call him Ben.
I never called him Ben. I called him Obi.
Yeah, but he's named after Obi-Wan.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, no. Did not even get that even until you just said it.
Wow. I knew you wouldn't because you never called him Ben.
No, his
Wow.
name's Obi. They should have named him Obi.
No.
So then, meanwhile, we have the Chewie, Han, Finn crew, and they are sneaking around. I keep on saying this, but this was like one of the funniest moments when Han is like, what did you used to do when you worked here? And he's like, sanitation. And Han is like, I'm sorry, you did sanitation? How do you know how to let down the shields then? And Finn is like, oh, I don't. I'm actually just here to save
I'm just
Rey.
here for Rey, actually. When he said, we'll use the Force, and he says it so seriously, that sent me. That was so funny.
And Han is like, you can't, that's not how the Force works, you idiot.
Yeah, he's like, we're just people. We're not Jedi, dude.
And then meanwhile, while this argument is happening, Chewie's complaining that he's cold.
Yeah, this scene was good.
Yeah, very great moment. So then we see Commander Hux, and he is asking for a report from his command center, and a woman says that the weapon is going to be fully charged in 15 minutes.
Uh-oh, gotta be quick.
So at this point, I was like, wow, what's going to happen for the rest of the film? Because if you see how long the movie is without realizing that the last half hour is just credits, you're like, wow, a lot happens after it charges.
Yeah, no, long credits.
But yeah, no, it ended up going a lot quicker than I thought. So then Han and Chewie and Finn, they break in and they knock out a stormtrooper. And then Finn says he has an idea. And then we cut to Phasma. And I think it was Chewie who hit her and trapped her. And then Finn starts getting really a little bit overhyped because he's like, I'm in charge now, I'm in charge.
Yeah, I love that.
And Han is like, you gotta calm down. You're doing too much. So then we also see Rey sneaking around and she realizes that she's about to be surrounded by stormtroopers. So she starts, I thought this was a hangar bay at first. I thought she was going to get out, but it's just like a wall. I don't really understand where she is.
I don't know what that was.
It's fine. She manages to find her way.
She got away.
So then we've got Finn holding Phasma at gunpoint, and she's lowering the shields. She's like arguing with him, but she's not fighting too hard, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah, she honestly just like gave up way too easily.
Listen, if you were being held at gunpoint and someone was like, do this, I would be like, all right, that's fine. Just don't kill me.
The First Order is supposed to be trained that it's like the First Order above all else. Kind of how
True.
Poe was willing to die for the Resistance. I mean, he's dying for a good cause.
Evil people just have no loyalty.
Which I think, differentiates the good guys from the bad guys.
It's inherently evil, I think, to just give up. Well, that sounds terrible, but you know what I mean? Like, if you're just willing to be like, all right, it's not that serious anyway, it's because you probably know you're on the wrong side.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in every case. This is in a fantasy setting.
Yes.
In this very specific scenario.
Yeah. Also, did you catch there was a little Easter egg in this scene?
I did, and I actually wrote down exciting Easter egg where Han asks if they can throw her down a trash chute into the compactor.
Yes.
Anytime they have this like slow zoom into a main character's face and they're like, well, how about we do this? And then there's like a huge pause so that the audience can cheer.
Then you know.
That's how you know it's an Easter egg.
Mm-hmm.
So then the Resistance sees that the shield is down, and then Poe and his group are flying for the base. I have to say, little disappointed in Poe. He did a great job, but why wasn't he at Finn's bedside at the end of the movie? Actually, let's not talk about it yet because I know you've got thoughts. So then Hux sees the Resistance coming and he dispatches all of their squadrons, and then Poe leading the charge, he's shooting the weapon. He explains stuff, but this is the kind of stuff that goes over my head. Basically, as long as the sun is out, there's still a chance that they can blow it up.
Yeah.
But then the First Order squads start coming and they start shooting, and we've got a cool battle in the stars.
Love it.
A war in the stars, if one would say.
Maybe a Star Wars.
Yeah.
Good name.
Something like that,
Mm-hmm.
but not exactly. So then back to Han, Chewie, and Finn. They're sneaking around. Finn starts to hatch this plan where he's going to like run into this room. He's going to try to find Rey, and he's scared, by the way, but he is in love. So he's going to go for it. And he's like outlining his plan to Han. And then Han is just like looking past him, clearly sees something behind him and starts nudging his chin. And then Finn, in the most incredible moment, is like, why are you doing this? Why do you keep doing this? I'm trying to tell you my plan and you're just doing this chin thing. And then Han is like, just turn around and look. And then they see Rey climbing up a wall like a little spider.
Yep.
So then they run around and meet her, and she's like, Finn, what are you doing here? And he says, we came back for you. And then Chewie chimes in and says that it was Finn's idea, which I love that Chewie was the perfect wingman.
Yes, he was. This next moment also was hilarious.
What? That she hugs him and he asks how...
And they're like having this like conversation while they're hugging, and then Han's
You
like,
thought that was funny? I thought that was sweet.
Well, it was sweet until Han cuts in, and then it was funny.
What did Han say?
Run now, hug later.
Oh. I don't know. It didn't...
That was funny. I liked that.
I thought it was sweet. Although I wish it was a kiss, but I get it because they've got other stuff going on. But Luke and Leia did kiss in the middle of a stormtrooper fight. So
They did. But that was a cheek kiss for luck.
Yeah, but I mean, she could have given a little cheek kiss. But you know what? It was an intimate hug. They were definitely like...
They were hugging for a long time.
Yeah, they were hugging for a long time. She was telling him stories. It was a whole thing. It was very cute. And also, by the way, there's a battle just being intercut with the Resistance and the First Order.
Yeah.
That we just keep on going back and seeing. So then Han, Chewie, Finn, and Rey now run outside, but they see the battle. I'm assuming they were going to try to leave the planet, but they know that, stuff's not going great. So Han is like, we can't leave. They're in trouble. And he also says, my friend has a bag full of explosives. Let's use them. Who's the friend?
Chewie.
Oh, why didn't he just... we know who Chewie is. Why didn't he just say Chewie's got a bunch of explosives. Let's go use them.
He just needs everyone to know what their relationship is. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they're obviously besties for life.
Yeah.
Which
wasn't very long after this.
Oh, stop. Oh, that's the saddest part. I feel terrible for Chewie. His like lifelong companion friend. Yeah.
The moment I cried had to kind of do with Chewie,
Yeah.
but I'll explain later when I get
So
there.
then we go back to the Resistance base, and half their fleet is down. The weapon's being charged, and it's going to be ready in 10 minutes. And C-3PO is not feeling optimistic. He says it's going to take a miracle miracle to save them, which is not like a typical C-3PO dramatizing. This is like seriously not a good situation that they're in.
Yeah. At least he didn't start spewing out like facts and numbers of
Yeah.
like 1 out of 7,004 would be able to escape this like he used to do.
Although that would be great. But yeah, he's learned.
Yeah.
So then Han and Chewie are going to set up the explosives, but they split up to place the bombs. And I wrote, which means Han is going to run into Kylo for sure, because
Yeah.
they're not going to run into them together. So then Kylo goes into, I guess, I don't know what that room was. It's just like the room with the oscillator.
It's the death room where you go out onto the bridge and you fight to the death.
Yeah. Anytime you see a bridge with like a long fall underneath it, you know there's going to be a lightsaber battle and someone's going to die.
Who designed this room? Who designed this? It makes no sense.
You know, as a person who loves routine, the comfort of knowing where things are going to play out, like what's going to happen, even if I don't know exactly what's going to happen, is really nice.
Yeah, when you walk into a room like this in Star Wars, you know something's about to go down.
There's a lot of like, even though I don't have the nostalgia, there's a lot of familiarity. Like even there was a scene where the fighters were going through this like tunnel and like shooting and they were being shot at. And I was like, this has happened in every trilogy so far.
Yeah.
Where they're like trying to fire at something in this tunnel. And of course, we get the room with the bridge always has this like fight and somebody's going to die.
Tense moment. Or lose
We
a
always
hand.
get the arm chopping off, yeah.
Not anymore. It doesn't seem like, it seems like they've evolved from arm chopping.
Which is so sad.
Yeah, I know. But now that we finished the first film, I can give you my silly little thought that I have about Star Wars and how they come up with their plots and their scenes and whatever.
Oh, no.
I think of Star Wars as like Mad Lib Star Wars, where they just take out the nouns and the verbs and the adjectives, but it's still like the same general outline and they just replace it with different things.
I'm not gonna lie, I love that, and that's actually how I do my work on YouTube. It's always like the same exact format. I just change out the words.
I know that a lot of Star Wars fans do have a gripe with this, but for me, I don't mind it as much when comparing like episode 7 with episode 4. Like when you look at those films, they essentially have the same plot. Reluctant hero on the desert planet. The mentor gets killed. You know, it was like Obi and Vader. Now it's Ben and Han Solo. It's like the same plot points happen. You've got Poe fighting through. They got to like, you know, kill something. But the thing is, these movies came out so far after each other that I'm okay with the fact that they, again, it's the nostalgia thing. And I love nostalgia.
And also, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Listen, it's perfect.
Exactly.
The first thing I learned in film school was don't come up with an original idea. It will fail.
I learned there are no original ideas. So
that's true.
Everything is a copy of something else.
That's true. And Star Wars happens to be a pretty good copy of Star Wars.
Of itself, yeah.
So then, like I said, Kylo goes into the room with a bunch of stormtroopers and he's like, find them. And then he's looking around. Han is hiding behind him and he gives a very sad look because he knows there's about to be an upsetting confrontation. And then Kylo walks out onto a bridge, which is obviously where you have to have your confrontation.
Yeah.
And then Han follows him and yells, Ben, which is the name reveal.
Immediately, as soon as he said Ben, I like was weeping until the scene was over. I was just like
really
convulsing. Yeah.
That's so funny because my gut instinct was like, ooh, if I heard my parents speak to me in that tone, I would start crying like of fear. Like, what did I do wrong?
I thought it was sweet because he called him by his name. And it's
he's not going to be calling him Kylo.
You know, with Anakin and Vader, it's like those two characters literally are two different people. Like they're the same flesh and blood, kind of, except that Darth Vader doesn't have arms and legs, but they're essentially the same person, but we recognize them as different people. Maybe he says, I killed your son.
He says he's dead.
He's gone. He's dead. Yeah, so he considers Kylo to not be Ben. Ben doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Although, I mean, it's very clear that Ben still very much exists.
Yeah, he's fighting to get out.
But yeah, so Kylo's like, Han Solo, I've been waiting for this day for a long time. And then everybody's just watching this confrontation. Like Chewie is watching.
This is like what you expected the I am your father to be.
Yeah,
with everybody watching.
That's what I thought it was going to be, not this private little moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we actually get this really, I'm sure you loved it too, beautiful wide shot of them on the bridge with like the beam of light over them.
Yeah.
And it's on Han's side and it's just barely hitting Kylo. Ooh, beautiful.
So good.
So then Han is like, take off the mask. And Kylo's like, what do you think you'll see without it? And Han says, the face of my son.
Oh.
And then Kylo takes off his helmet and he says, your son is gone. He was weak and foolish like his father, so I destroyed him, which is not totally true.
No, not totally true. I wouldn't say that Han is weak.
And Han doesn't believe it either. He's like, that's what Snoke wants you to believe, but it's not true. My son is alive. Snoke is using you for your power, and when he gets what he wants, he'll crush you. And Kylo is actually looking really sad.
Yeah.
But Han is like, you know it's true. And then Kylo's like, it's too late. And Han says, come home, we miss you. And then Kylo starts like crying a little bit.
Yeah.
He's definitely tearing up. And he says, I'm being torn apart. I want to be free of this pain. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Where were you, like, in your head at this moment?
I mean, I was thinking he was saying exactly that. Like, he knows he has to kill his father, but he doesn't have the strength to do it. But a part of me was also thinking he doesn't have the strength to leave this situation either. So he is, I mean, being torn apart is a great metaphor for it.
For sure. I think that the audience was supposed to be led into thinking that Kylo was saying he wanted to come with him, but I think it was very clear that wasn't the intention. But I did love that, him saying, like, I'm being torn apart, I want this pain to end. But what he's saying in his head, like the things that he's not saying out loud, is he wants the pain of the light to be gone. He wants to be in the dark side, but the light keeps calling to him and he needs to find a way to shut it down. And the best way to do it, the point of no return, is killing your father.
Yeah, and your mother, eventually. I don't know.
And your mother.
That's just speculation. So then he's like, will you help me? And Han says, yes, anything. And then Kylo pulls out his lightsaber and Han like makes to grab it, but Kylo won't let go. And then we see the sun disappearing, which is a terrible sign because that means that there's pretty much no hope. And then Kylo turns on his lightsaber and it goes through Han's chest. I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah? You didn't think he was actually going to do it?
No, I did not think he was going to do it. I was absolutely shocked.
I unfortunately had this spoiled for me when I watched it. I knew it happened. I lost my mind. I remember where I was. I remember exactly where I was.
Who spoiled it for you?
I was at work and somebody was talking about it. They're like, oh, that's crazy, Han Solo died. And I turned around and I was like, I think I started cursing. I'm
sure you did. I would be cursing too.
I was so mad.
Can I just, speaking of, I keep on giving you guys my relationship updates. I was like yelling at Ryan. I was like, I don't know if you're looking stuff up because you're trying to mess with me, but if you spoil anything, like I'm leaving you.
A proper response.
And he was like, I just know Unker Plutt or whatever. And I was like, but how? How do you know him?
He won't tell you?
Again, just clarifying, this is a playful argument. We were not serious. No, he won't tell me.
Not.
And now I'm just convinced that he's looking stuff up. But then he pointed out, he was like, I haven't said the quarter portion thing in years. And I was like, actually, now that I think about it, that's true. That was something he used to say years ago.
I'm telling you, he must look up Reddit threads of conversations people are having about these films and just retaining all this information.
Yeah, he does have a weird memory.
He seems like the type.
He's like a highlights person, for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, Han has a lightsaber going through him right now. Rey screams, and Han puts his hand on Kylo's face, and then he falls down into the abyss. And then we get a shot of Leia for some reason because she
felt
I guess, can feel it. Yeah. I was wondering if maybe that was the Force, but she clearly knows that something terrible has happened.
I think she knows he's dead. I think she fully knows that he died.
Oh, that's so upsetting.
Because she's strong with the Force as well.
Yeah.
She's Anakin Skywalker's child just as much as Luke is. And Han was definitely sensitive with the Force, and I think their love connects them, and she knows.
Connects through the Force. Yeah. So that was a very upsetting moment. But then Chewie, my man, gets pissed. And he just starts firing.
Yeah. That was so sad.
He's not just going to roll over and die. He's going to avenge him, which we love to see.
And Rey and Finn were also, all of them were just on a shooting frenzy, just like so upset.
So they start shooting. Explosives start going off. And Kylo looks up at Finn and Rey. They're on this like sort of balcony thing. And they have like a little staring moment. And then Finn and Rey run away. And Then we hear, I think it was from the Resistance side, that the oscillator is damaged, but it's still functional, and the weapon is going to go off in 2 minutes.
This is also a good moment to, I think, talk about our actors, our original main cast, and their relationship with Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Now that you know that Mark Hamill is in the movie, he did make it in. So we've got Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford. Mark Hamill is a little Star Wars fanboy. He loves Star Wars. He is all about it. If he wasn't in these movies, he would be the biggest fan of Star Wars. Loves it, loves it, loves it. Carrie Fisher, I feel like, because her career was more of an author rather than an actor, Star Wars was always like the biggest thing she did. She always still went to the conventions while she was alive, and I think that she really appreciated it for what it was. But Harrison Ford is not a Star Wars fanboy at all. Basically, he said, I will come back for this movie, but I'm only doing one of them.
Damn.
And so they said,
let's just kill you.
Let's write in a death for you. Yeah. He only would do one, he said.
Now having seen Blade Runner, which I didn't watch for this podcast, me and Ryan just randomly watched it the other night, I'm like, does he just play the same character in every movie?
I think so, yeah, pretty much. I've never seen Indiana Jones, but I feel like Indiana Jones has to be similar.
The same thing, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's good at it.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I also, it's weird that you say that because even though he did a great job in this movie, don't get me wrong, but I did get the sense that he was kind of, and maybe that's just his character, but like I felt like he was kind of annoyed.
Yeah.
About everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, what, is he not happy to be here?
I don't think he wanted to be there.
I chalked it up to his character, but yeah, now it almost makes me wonder if the actor was like, I gotta do this for the fans.
You know what I saw yesterday on Instagram was a poster for either a new film or show, I don't know what it was, but it was him and Jason Segel from How I Met Your Mother, who's like a comedic actor, and I was like, is this a comedy? What is this movie?
That's where he's from to you? I feel like he's from Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
Me, but go ahead.
I mean, I've seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but I've seen How I Met Your Mother like 3 times fully through.
Oh my gosh. Not something worth watching 3 times.
I don't think I'd ever watch it again, but...
Okay,
fair. Time of my youth. It's sort of like The Office. Done it, don't need to do it again. Well, I've done that like 3 or 4 times too, but don't need to do it again.
It's about to get a little intense in the comments section.
Yeah, there's gonna be like The Office. I love The Office. No, I mean that was like my TV of like high school and college.
You just digressed from your digression of your digression. What were you saying about finding on Instagram?
Yeah. So anyway, when I was born, no, it was the it was the film poster of Harrison Ford and Jason Segel, and I was like, oh, this must be a comedy. It looked like a comedy. It was like bright blue in the background. I think they were like hugging in sort of like a silly father-son way. I have no idea what it was called, but I was interested in it because I would be interested to see Harrison Ford in a comedy, even though I don't like comedies.
He is a comedic character in serious roles, so I think he would do very well for it. But
yeah, I think so as well.
We probably won't find out in this podcast.
And I probably won't end up watching it anyway.
Although, if you're new to the podcast, if you didn't listen to our first season, you should know that in between seasons, we do a bonus movie.
Yeah.
Which is something that's totally unrelated to the podcast. But it's just like a funny, goofy, silly little thing. So maybe we will do it for a bonus episode
maybe,
sometime.
Who knows? I don't even know what it was called. I'll probably never see it again.
So anyway, should we get back to the movie?
Let's get back to the movie.
We're so far into this podcast episode and we have not gone very far into the movie section.
Whatever. The last time it took us like 30 minutes to get to the movie. So.
That's true. We had a lot of discussions in this movie. I say that as if we're about to start another discussion about the discussions, but no, we're just going to get right back to it.
Get back to it.
So Rey and Finn run outside. They're trying to get to the Falcon. They're running through the forest and they hear a lightsaber. And it is Kylo, and he says, we're not done yet. And at this point, I think that this was the moment where I thought he was the coolest.
Yeah. Oh,
as
my
a bad
gosh.
guy, like the most compelling as a bad guy. But I still, and this is the moment where if I found him attractive, I would have found him attractive, but I did not. So that's how I know that I'm not into him.
My thing with him in this scene, I compare it to Anakin's outbursts in episode 2 that we get a lot of, where he would have these outbursts. It just sort of felt like someone was yelling at you. It didn't really feel like there was much behind it. But in this scene, Adam Driver's performance, it isn't just yelling. There is so much happening beneath the surface. Like you feel the weight of what he just did.
Oh, absolutely.
You feel that he feels it. You feel that he's trying to justify it. Like as an actor,
the layers.
I love this scene. You feel the layers just from a few words. And it's not just like screaming at you. And I think
Yeah.
for me, that's why he's so compelling to me, is because Adam
Absolutely.
Driver, I just think, is one of the most talented actors like that exists right now.
I think what I found the most compelling was the almost desperation in him
Yeah.
to prove that he is this bad guy. And I just thought
Yeah.
that was really well done. And also, I
Yeah.
want to point out that this was one of the moments that Rey felt when she touched Luke's lightsaber.
This particular scene, the snowy mountains, I love the scenery. I know that this isn't the most like sophisticated lightsaber battle. It's very messy, but I absolutely love this lightsaber battle. There's something about it that I just always really connected with. I think it's number one, Kylo Ren's like fighting style. It's almost like he's swinging like a battle axe or like a club. He's just putting so much force behind it.
I was actually thinking that about Rey. I was thinking that she's fighting like an untrained person, but she's also fighting like how I imagine I would fight. Like if you are holding a weapon and you don't know how to use it, your goal is to try to chop somebody with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how she's fighting, which I think is very unsophisticated, but it makes for a very cool shot. And I think it shows her character very well.
It really shows
how untrained she is.
How untrained she is, but how willing she is to put as much into it as she can and like literally die for this if that's what it comes to. And then his fighting style, I just feel is so uniquely different than anything we've ever seen before that I just love watching him throw that lightsaber around.
Oh, jeez. Well, yeah, it was very cool, but we're not there yet. First, Rey tells him that he's a monster, and he says, "It's just us now. Han Solo can't save you," which honestly must have been a little hard for him to say.
I think so too, yeah. You could tell how much he's hurting.
Both physically and mentally, because Rey notices that he's bleeding.
And he's hitting it.
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, he's like hitting the wound.
Oh.
He does it a few times in the scene where he's like pounding at his side. At the wound.
Gotta pound the pain away.
He's in so much pain, he feels like if he hits it, it'll like just be normal.
So yeah, she pulls out a blaster, but then he uses the Force to kind of just throw her across the forest. And then Finn throws his weapon across the forest and runs towards her, which I'm like, Finn, why didn't you just run? Why would you drop your weapon first?
Because he's got another weapon.
Yeah, that's true. But still, in that moment, I was like, dude, that was a bad idea. I didn't realize he had a lightsaber with him. But then Kylo screams, "Traitor!" And then Finn pulls out his lightsaber. And then Kylo's like, "That lightsaber belongs to me." And Finn says, "Come and get it." And then they start their lightsaber battle. And it was really impressed. And I think you can tell that Kylo is very visibly injured, but he's still killing it. You know, he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And they have this moment. I don't know if there's a term for it when like two swords are kind of locked together in like that sort of pushing battle.
There has to be. I don't know why the word that came to me was scrum, but I know that's a rugby term.
Yeah.
But it's the same sort of thing where they're like locked in sort of like a stalemate sort of thing.
And as it's happening, the hilt part where there's two extra little pieces of lightsaber poking out start digging into Finn's shoulder, and then he starts screaming, which wakes up Rey. And then the fight continues, and Finn gets a shot in on Kylo's arm, but does not chop it off, much to my dismay.
No.
And then Kylo disarms Finn and then punches him, and he turns around, and then Kylo slices the lightsaber up his back, which was pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then Finn obviously falls. And then Kylo puts away his lightsaber and he starts calling with the Force to Luke's lightsaber, which is on the ground. And it seems like it's not going at first, but then it starts like wiggling and moving. And then guess what? Doesn't go to Kylo. It goes to Rey.
So epic.
Because she also called it.
It was the first time she held a lightsaber too, like really held it.
Yeah. So then she turns it on, he turns his on, and then we get another lightsaber battle. And I also noted that they are knocking down a bunch of trees, which I was concerned about, but then the whole planet ended up blowing up, so I guess it doesn't matter. But I was like, damn, they're really not caring about the environment.
I feel like for Rey too, she like had to chomp down the trees because that was like her line of defense.
Yeah.
You know? Because half the time she was like running away more than she was fighting.
Yeah, she was definitely retreating so much, which I think is fair. Again, like the way that she was fighting kind of made me feel if I was a brave person who was fighting without any training, I would probably be doing the same thing, like slashing and hacking, but also trying to get the heck away. you know.
Away, yeah.
So then we've got the battle raging on in the skies. We've got Poe. His crew sees the oscillator is damaged, but maybe there's a chance. So they go back in to shoot more damage. And I wrote that it's very reminiscent of the first trilogy.
Yes.
Where they had basically the same situation. People flying through. Some people are unfortunately losing their lives to it because they're being shot at. But you know, it's all happening. The weapon is going to be fully charged in 30 seconds, but they're really blowing up that oscillator pretty good. One thing that I consistently love about Star Wars is when a character who primarily speaks another language just speaks in the other language and then people just respond in English. I don't know why it cracks me up so much.
Yeah, that's definitely a really big Star Wars trope.
Yeah. But I love that because, you know, I get the context of what's going on. And also it just, I don't know, like it makes me a little jealous that all of these Star Wars people like know all these languages.
Yeah.
Not even just from their own planet. They're knowing languages from other planets. They must learn so many in school.
Yeah.
You know?
Good schooling systems.
Like how many languages do you think exist in their solar system? Which
so
you can't even say
many.
their solar system because they're constantly flying through at light speed to other systems, you know?
To other places, yeah. How many planets are there? Who knows?
But Finn,
a lot.
Much like me, doesn't speak anybody else's language, can't even understand Chewie.
No, he can't.
Which I can relate to because I also can't, but I love his vibe, so it's fine.
I love his vibe too.
So then back to the lightsaber battle. They keep on fighting. Rey keeps on retreating. And then eventually they get to this point where there's like a cliff and she's being pushed back into it. Mm-hmm. So they're like pressing their lightsabers against each other. Very beautiful lighting here. And then Kylo's like, you need a teacher. I could show you the ways of the Force, which I'm like, now is not the time. You've already lost your opportunity to teach her. You can't just say that when you're about to kill her. That's crazy.
That is true. But it is an interesting proposition that he's given her to turn her to the dark side.
She would literally never take that. I don't think that that's even something she will consider at all during this trilogy.
Yeah, but I like that he's trying.
So yeah, so he says, I can show you the ways of the Force. And then she's like, the Force? And then she realizes that she should use the Force. So then she just closes her eyes and starts doing some meditation, but still manages to stay strong enough to hold him off. And then she opens her eyes and she pushes him back. And now he's the one who's retreating while they battle.
Yeah, she really caught him off guard.
She cut something. I rewatched this like 4 times because I was like, did she cut off his leg? But she didn't. What did she cut?
No.
She just hit him?
She was just like slicing at him. It wasn't anything like nothing. No limbs were lost.
Because the way the shot was like, like a piece of fabric fell. And I was like, what did she just cut off?
Not an arm.
And I just kept on rewatching it. And I was like, I genuinely cannot tell what she cuts off. Like a piece of his cloak. Good job.
Yeah, I think so.
But she also hits him in the shoulder and he's starting to lose.
And the face.
Well, that's not until just now when they have this crazy moment where they're holding each other's lightsaber arm and they're just locked into this, I don't know, like arm wrestling situation, which is wild.
Yeah.
And then she pushes his into the snow and I guess it like fizzles out and disables.
Which I love.
And then she knocks him down and I guess at that point she slashed him across the face. Pretty good.
Ugh, so cool. I feel like getting a scar like that can really change a character a lot.
Yeah. I almost feel like for a character like him, it's almost a point of pride to have something like this, to be like, I went through this ordeal and I am now evil. You know, like this is the mark that reminds me that I killed my father kind of situation. You know what I mean?
That's true. Or in another way, he could think of it as, this was the time I almost lost and I need to be stronger. And now I have a reminder for the rest of my life that I wasn't strong enough and I was bested by an untrained girl that everyone keeps talking about.
A little bit of symbolism here because it really does go right through his face. So it's kind of him being torn in half.
In two. Yeah, like he was saying before.
Exactly.
I like it.
So then suddenly the forest is breaking apart and we see like magma or whatever, planet core.
Planet core.
And Rey starts running and the command center of the First Order is in disarray. People are running around. One guy's like, get back to your station. He's like, Hux isn't even here. Like, we're all going to die anyway. It doesn't matter. And then we see Hux goes to Snoke and he says that the planet is collapsing. I'm telling you, this was the first moment that I was like, oh, Snoke is a hologram.
Yeah, he's a hologram. He's not there.
It was way too high quality before.
Yeah.
He did not look like a hologram at all. And now he's like starting to flicker. So I was like, oh, he is a hologram.
I also can't remember what what his like actual size is. Because before you were saying how huge he was.
Absolute unit.
And I mentioned he was a hologram, but I literally don't remember if he's that big IRL, but we'll find out at some point.
In the next episode.
Yeah.
So then Snoke tells Hux to leave the base and bring Kylo Ren to him because it's time to complete his training. So then we see Rey. She finally goes back to Finn. She's crying over him, and then a light shines over them, and it's the Falcon, and Chewie's in it. So he comes out, he grabs Finn, brings him inside, and they fly off.
That made me cry, seeing Chewie in the cockpit alone.
Oh yeah, that was really sad.
I started like sobbing.
I was just like a little confused because I was like, in this whole forest, how did Chewie find them?
Maybe he could see them from up ahead.
True.
Maybe there's some sort of like, you know, those heat sensors where you can kind of like see through based on the heat. I don't know. I'm making that up on the spot, but I feel
give
like
him an excuse. It's fine.
It could be it. Yeah.
And then as they fly off, the planet blows up, and we also see the fighters leaving as well, Poe and his peeps.
Yeah.
And then this also made me wonder, what would happen if a planet, you wouldn't know this. Let me ask the audience, what would happen if a planet in our solar system blew up? Would we die?
I don't think so. I don't think they're close enough that we would die.
We would feel
but maybe
it, right?
some debris.
We'd have to feel it.
I have no idea.
Okay, somebody tell us, please.
Let us know.
Oh, you know what? I'll look it up. I'll do some research.
I don't know if we would feel it. I feel like it's too far away to feel it. If Pluto exploded, we definitely wouldn't feel that.
But all the millennials would cry. Millennials love Pluto.
Our lost planet, Pluto. Yeah, Pluto's not even a planet anymore.
So anyway, back at the Resistance base, we've got some medics taking Finn, and they do confirm that he's still alive. They're like, we have a heartbeat, we're good. And Rey's just standing there looking sad, and Leia comes up to her, and they share a sad look, and then they hug because they both know the situation.
They know. And I cried here too.
Of course you did. And then guess what? Happy moment happens because R2-D2 wakes up.
R2-D2! And all the little robots are having droids. Sorry, all the little droids are having their little beep moments.
So cute. They're just chirping at each other. And then C-3PO runs up and he's like, oh my gosh, R2, you're back. And then R2 says something saucy that we don't know what it is. But C-3PO is like, how dare you call me that? And smacks him across the face. Which I'm like, dang, what did R2 say there?
Maybe they're in love. Did you ever think of that?
I didn't. Can droids fall in love?
Of course.
What are you saying? Of course. How would I know that?
They're just like us.
They are not just like us. They're a lot smarter than us. But yeah, it was definitely a little saucy. I'm wondering if R2 said something like, look at your stupid red arm, you idiot.
Yeah.
And then C-3PO was like, why would you say that? Smack.
Yeah. Stop talking about my arm. I'm sensitive.
So then R2-D2 and C-3PO go up to Leia, who is very sad, and says that R2 has some potentially good news. And R2 pulls up a map with a very conveniently missing puzzle piece, which nobody could have ever guessed that is exactly what they needed. And then BB goes up to Poe and asks him for the rest of the map, which honestly, that little interaction was adorable because he's like, so I don't know, like he's like, what do you need, Lassie? There's some kids in the well. Like he's just like, what do you need, BB? I don't know. It's just really cute.
Yeah, I think he calls him buddy sometimes.
I love Poe and I love BB and I love their friendship. I love in Star Wars like people with their little companions, like Obi, even with his R4, like they're just pals, you know?
Yeah, his little droid pal. I love it. So cute.
I want a little droid pal.
But I definitely think that BB-8 is the best droid.
BB-8 is the best for sure.
Yeah.
So he pops the map into himself and he does the little hologram and he puts the puzzle piece back together and wow, now suddenly the map makes sense and they can find Luke.
Wow.
I gotta say, as far as the puzzle goes though, like it should have been a little bit more scattered because that was just like a little too easy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little silly.
But whatever. So then we see Rey, not Poe, sitting at Finn's bedside, and she's like, we'll see each other again.
Imagine if both of them were there.
I would die. I would just die of happiness.
The only reason that Rey was there was because she was saying goodbye to him.
Yeah, that's true. I thought she was just sitting there waiting for him to wake up, but no, she was like, we'll see you again.
Yeah, and she's like, I feel it.
Yeah, and then she kisses him on the forehead and she thanks him, and then she just walks away, which she has to do because she's got to go find Luke.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have her saying goodbye to Leia, and Leia is like, Rey, may the Force be with you. And BB-8 is saying goodbye too in his little BB language. And now, I know you cried at this, Rey's the pilot and Chewie's the co-pilot, and they fly off in the Falcon. And everyone cheers.
No, not here. I cried later.
I was a little sad because I was thinking like, man, finally Chewie has an opportunity to be the pilot. But nope.
I was a little upset at the choice of making Rey the pilot over Chewie. I think it would have made more sense for Chewie to be the pilot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if one of them needs to be shouting commands at the other, Chewie understands Rey, but Rey doesn't necessarily understand everything Chewie says.
I guess that's fair.
But maybe she'll learn.
She better learn because that's just, I don't know, it's a
Yeah.
little rude to not learn your co-pilot's language.
Yeah.
She does understand him for the most part, though.
Yeah.
So then they go into hyperspace and they get to a planet with lots of ocean and a beautiful island. And for some reason, Chewie and R2 stay behind, and then Rey decides to go up by herself up this mountain, which conveniently has a set of stairs carved into it, so not any climbing necessary. She just has to walk up the stairs.
It reminded me a lot of when I went to Machu Picchu, even though that's not like an island.
It reminded me a lot of when I was playing Skyrim last week.
Well, it reminded me of when I was out in the world.
Yeah, same. Out in the
walking
world, playing
upstairs.
Skyrim, collecting butterflies,
Picking
having a good
flowers.
time.
Yeah.
But no, it was actually really stunning. And I was thinking, I hate leaving my home, but if I had to, I would love to go somewhere that looked like that. Stunning.
Yeah.
So she
Yeah.
gets to the top and there is a hooded figure there, but thankfully he's wearing a light hood because if he was wearing a black hood, that would signify that he was probably a little evil. And he turns around and it is Luke. And let me tell you, this man aged very well. He looks good.
I love Mark Hamill. And he's so wholesome on the internet.
Wonderful.
Love it.
So then Rey pulls out his lightsaber from her bag and she holds it out to him. And also we see his hand, his robot hand. What happened to his little hand skin?
Yeah, isn't that interesting? How he used to have like one that looked like a hand and now he doesn't.
He just switched it out. And now it reminds me a little bit more of Anakin's fake hand.
Which is so interesting because Anakin's fake hand was years before, 19 or 20 years before Luke got his hand. So you'd think that technology would improve. So then why did it get worse again?
You tell me. Why did it get worse again?
Someone tell me because I have no idea.
Because they wanted to remind us that he has a fake hand.
Yeah. And then in this very last moment, I was crying up until the credits happened because the music that happens here, which I won't sing for you guys, I won't put you through it, but the first time...
I'm just kidding. You're a good singer.
The first... Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Anyway, the very first time we hear it is in episode 4 when Luke goes out onto the dunes and he sees the two suns, and then we hear it here, and it just makes me... I'm like, oh, he's gone through so much.
Yeah.
So much has changed, and I cry. The nostalgia got me.
Very, very intense. Very cool moment. We get this cool, like, not overhead shot, but like this panning shot of her holding it out. He doesn't even accept it. The movie just ends.
Yeah, so we don't know what happens.
We don't know what happens. And that ends the movie.
That's the end of the movie. Episode 7.
Episode 7 in the books. And it was very good. It was very good.
Yeah. I loved this movie
I
so
love how
much.
much it has evolved. So I'm going to say something inflammatory. I know you already know it. The original trilogy, mid. Prequel trilogy, good. This trilogy, like, I feel like it just keeps on improving.
I totally disagree.
I know you do.
I totally disagree.
I thought that the prequel trilogy, I thought was worlds better than the original. Although I maintain the best moment of the entire franchise was I Am Your Father.
I mean, I obviously agree with you that like the CGI improved and the camera angles are way more interesting. And in terms of like filmmaking, yes, they have improved. But for me, the original will always be the best. Just the story, the characters, I prefer them all.
Yeah.
I think Poe and Finn and Rey are good additions. And Kylo Ren. I do appreciate those 4 characters.
I like all the others better, except for every character in this movie.
All of them. Yeah.
No, I think what it is that obviously as technology got better, the films got better in quality, but I think it's also the intensity of the moments got better.
Yes.
Even in moments that didn't feel as powerful as what could have happened. Like thinking back to the moment where Obi-Wan is cut down by Darth Vader in, what was that, the first movie? Second movie?
Yeah, the first one.
I was just
Episode
thinking,
4.
like, what an intense moment. I feel like we've had less important deaths with more intensity since then. If they filmed that moment now, it would have been...
It would be so different.
So different. Yeah. And I would... People are going to kill me for this. Please don't. I would be curious. Curious if they ever did a remake of the original trilogy. I would be curious how they portrayed it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do prefer newer films. I do prefer, how filmmaking has evolved over time. But just for me, I mean, I don't want to give you my full power ranking of the films until we watch 8 and 9.
Yeah.
The top 3 are the originals for me. And then this one comes in 4th, the one that we just watched.
No, but I do think it's really impressive. And I think one thing that they have improved so much on in this trilogy so far, like in the first movie, I thought C-3PO was funny, but I also thought he was like evil. because he didn't contribute that much except for the comedic relief. So I thought that like maybe he had a bigger role to play in that he would be evil. Second trilogy, C-3PO was pretty funny. I don't think we got as much comic relief, and we did in the first movie with Jar Jar Binks, and then he ended up being so annoying. But in this movie, I think they absolutely nailed it with making it funny with keeping very serious things. Like Finn was incredible. Finn was the best comedic relief I have seen in this franchise. He was so funny, and like I kept on saying, he still had an important role to play, but like him getting frustrated was just the most incredible thing. Like I loved it.
And you know what actually probably contributed to that is Episode VII is the first Star Wars movie that was made after it was bought by Disney.
I have some thoughts on Disney. But that is interesting. That is interesting to ponder.
I was initially like excited that Disney bought Star Wars, but I don't know. The jury's still out on that, because I have to say that like the TV shows that they've produced, The Mandalorian and one that I'm watching right now, which I think is like the greatest Star Wars thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's so good. And none of those shows would exist without Disney.
They are pumping out Star Wars content.
Yeah, which then becomes to me like Marvel, which I can't stand how quickly Marvel like puts films out. It really
But imagine
loses
being a Marvel fan and getting all that content. Like I would love.
Yeah, I guess I'm not a Marvel fan, so that's the problem.
I would love if a franchise that I was very seriously into just had so much content for me to consume.
Yeah, and this one has a lot of content.
Don't they have like Star Wars Land in Disneyland?
Yeah, they got the Star where you can make your own lightsaber actually, which I want to do so badly, but it's really expensive, but I feel like it would be worth it.
Can I say a word that I'm not 100% sure on? Kyber crystals?
Oh yeah, that's a word.
Okay. I have a nail polish called Kyber crystal.
Yeah. What color was it?
It's blue.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anywho, we will be back next week for episode 8, which is called Ray of Sunshine.
Yeah. No, it's called Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi.
Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, and this one's going to be hard for me.
It's your least favorite movie in the franchise.
It is. It
Aside
really
from
is.
Episode 2.
I'm going to go. No, this one I don't like. I like this one probably. See, it's tough because it's the same thing with Episode 2 where it's like, I hate the romance, but I love everything that Obi's doing. I love the clones. I love Yoda.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No. It has.
Don't tell me Kylo and Rey.
No, it's not about the romance.
Oh.
There is a subplot in this next film that I could probably make an entire podcast about how much I hate it.
So expect very long episodes for the next 2 to 3 episodes that we do.
But the thing is, there are moments that I think are incredible in the next film, but it's weighed down by the worst thing I've ever seen in any movie I've ever watched.
All right. Well, I will keep that in mind when we watch it. But yeah, we'll be back next week for episode 8, The Last Jedi in the World. Galaxy.
In the galaxy.
After this, they're going to be extinct.
No more Jedi.
No more Jedi. All right. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
You've been listening to the It's All Geek to Me podcast, hosted by Leah and Kelly. Make sure to hit subscribe in your favorite podcast player and give us a rating. You can also follow us on Twitter at All Geek Podcast. New episodes drop every Thursday. See you next week.